What if the only way to truly move forward was to disappear for a while? Not forever, just long enough to reconnect with your purpose, silence the noise, and return stronger than anyone imagined. Today, we hit reset. We ghost the ones who doubted, was the ones who smiled to our face but quietly hoped we'd fall. We walk away, not out of anger, but out of clarity. We live in a world drowning in noise. Notifications, opinions, obligations. Everyone's got something to say about who you are and who you should be. But deep down, none of that matters. What matters is the reason you started. That fire inside. The grind that got you up before the sun. The nights you cried alone, praying the world would say, yes, while it kept slamming doors in your face. But still, you didn't stop. Forget the money. Forget the status. Forget the labels they placed on you. Can you unplug from all of it? From the doubts, the distractions, the voices that never believed in your vision? What if, just for a moment, you turned everything off? Social media, expectations, the outside world, and turned inward. What if you gave yourself permission to disappear, not to escape, but to build? Because sometimes the most powerful version of you can only be forged in solitude. That's the power of going dark. Not hiding, but working. Quietly, relentlessly, patiently. So when you return, you don't just show up, you shock them. Let's go back. Back into the silence where greatness is born. Back to the beginning, where hunger lived. Back to the space where no one was watching, but everything was being created. You see, we love to cheer for our heroes, athletes, innovators, icons. Admire what they do in public, but what we don't see is what they endured in private. The tears, the setbacks, the long, sleepless nights. The moments they questioned everything but still kept going. And now I ask you, are you willing to go through that same process? Are you willing to enter that dark room where pressure creates diamonds? Where purpose is refined and discipline becomes unshakable? This isn't about running away. It's about returning to your truth. It's about becoming the version of yourself that was buried beneath doubt, distraction, and disappointment. Let's ghost everyone who ever tried to clip your wings. Let's go back to the kid inside you who once dreamed without limits, before the world taught them fear. Yes, it's time to reset. Because the world you're living in right now, the endless scrolls, the empty conversations, the false friendships, none of it fills you. None of it feeds your soul. And the reason you feel drained is because you're surrounded by energy thieves, people who wear the mask of a friend but secretly carry the voice of discouragement, people who project their own failures onto your future. So we go back, not to hide, but to transform. Remember, the most iconic photographs, the most powerful portraits, they weren't created in the light. They were developed in the dark. And now, it's your turn. You remember what we said. Greatness is developed in the dark. Now let me ask you this. Are you willing to stay there long enough to let the process transform you? I'm speaking directly to you, to the administrator who's overworked but refuses to lower their standards, to the nurse holding it together for others while silently breaking down inside, to the doctor carrying the weight of impossible choices, to the student burning midnight oil chasing a vision no one else understands, to the communicator, the creator, the risk-taker, the silent warrior. I'm speaking to the one who doesn't need the spotlight to believe in their purpose, to the inventor scribbling blueprints in a notebook no one's seen, to the entrepreneur who's been told no more times than they can count, to the preacher, the teacher, the trailblazer, to the one who's still standing when everyone expected you to fall. I'm talking to the person who doesn't mind disappearing for a while, because you understand that when you return, you won't come back the same. You'll rise from that hidden place, transformed, sharpened, unshakable, a new man, a new woman, walking boldly toward greatness while the world watches in awe. But before that moment, before the applause and the spotlight, you have to ask yourself a serious question. What will you do when no one is watching? What kind of effort will you put in when the world goes silent? Because it's in that space, the private, uncelebrated grind, that your masterpiece is born. One of the greatest challenges of choosing to disappear is realizing that growth without applause is still growth. That building behind closed doors requires the kind of faith and discipline most people never develop. It's not about fighting the old. It's about committing every ounce of your energy to building the new. Not just once, but again and again without anyone cheering you on. Can you do it anyway? Can you keep building when there's no validation, when no one's hitting like, when no one understands the vision but you? You build in the dark, and you reveal it only when it's ready, not when you're halfway there, not when you need approval. You let your results do the talking. You let your progress announce itself. And yes, the process will break you. You'll fight until you've got nothing left. And when you can't fight anymore, you'll fall. But you won't stay down. You'll bleed. You'll hurt. You'll cry. Then you'll get up, and you'll find more strength than you ever knew you had, because you've been counted out, abandoned, forgotten. They whispered behind your back, "You'll never make it without us." They smiled to your face, but they were quietly waiting for your failure. They pretended to be friends, but deep down they hoped you'd fall, because they couldn't rise. And now is the time to prove them wrong, but not with rage, not with with results. Disappear, do the work, cut out the noise, the distractions, the fake support. Sometimes, you need to unplug from everything, even the things you think are helping you, just to remember who you are and what you're building. Let them doubt you, let them talk. While they're watching, you're working. This is the process, the moment where you reset everything, where you ghost everyone. Not because you're bitter, but because you're becoming. There comes a time when silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. When disappearing isn't quitting, it's preparing. And when being counted out becomes the very reason you rise. So if you're in the shadows right now, stay there. Let it mold you. Let it build you. Because when your time comes, and it will, you won't just return. You'll rise, louder, stronger, unstoppable. If this message lit a spark in you, don't let it fade. Like the video. Share it with someone who's fighting silently. And subscribe to Motivation Hub Rise, where quiet warriors become undeniable forces. This is your moment. Disappear. Work, rise, repeat.